man, it was up and down, but we should have won the game in normal time. And with this penalty, we got a down now, man.
No, Argentina is always a roller coaster.
It's been a special day. I think we suffered much more than we deserve. But we did really well. The team did really well, yeah?
Really happy that Messi will get the chances to go up to the final and hopefully get the World Cup that he deserves.
Going behind the scenes of the biggest prize in football, this is World Football in Qatar on the BBC World Service.
Will it be Messi or Modric, Mbappe or Morocco? The World Cup semi-finals are almost here. Hello, it's Djazmi. Welcome to our latest podcast. And I suspect that the letter M will be doing a lot of heavy lifting in this episode because I'm joined by journalists from Argentina and Morocco. From Argentina, Marcela, Mora y Araujo. And from Morocco, our new friend Amine El Amri. And Amine, I think from now on, really, on World Football, you should be introduced as Amine El Amri Mabrouk, because you're still in it. Congratulations, you're in the last four of the World Cup. How does that feel?
Yeah, I really have trouble processing this even now. I mean, from time to time, I'm pinching myself every hour to see if I'm really awake or not. So yeah, a dream coming true and still dreaming also.
Marcela, you flew in from Argentina to Qatar for the quarter-final against the Netherlands. It was almost in vain, but for a penalty shootout. You must have been pretty tired from the journey, but then even more tired by the match, going to penalty shootout.
Well, it's certainly a very long way away. So, yes, it felt like I'd been travelling for days, and then I sort of relaxed a little bit until that extraordinary twist of fate in the 101 minute, which is a time that doesn't really exist in football. Because most games are over by then. But this has been such an odd World Cup, including the length of the games has changed. It was really worth it, though. I mean, I'd like to say it would have been really worth it anyway, even if Argentina hadn't clinched it, because it's just so much of another world here and the experience of living most of the World Cup in Buenos Aires, where there's a frenzy that I can't possibly overemphasize. But we did it.
Your boys weren't very gracious in victory, though, Marcela, especially Messi.
Well, first of all, I don't claim them as my boys, so I'm not taking any responsibility for their behaviour. They've been told, but they have minds of their own. I don't know. It was a very fraught. I think as the competition progresses, testosterone levels go up. There's a lot more at stake. Well, not more at stake, but it's felt in a different way. I think there was quite a lot of provocation before the game and during the game from the Netherlands squad, and I think Van Gaal particularly perhaps stacked some odds against him personally, not just with remarks before this match, but historically. So there was suddenly like a kind of epic representation of incidents. Messi celebrates his first goal with his hands behind his ears, which is emulating a cartoon character called Topo Gigio, but actually it's Riquelme's goal celebration when he's trying to show someone that snubbed him or something that he can do it anyway. Van Gaal was Riquelme's nemesis. When Riquelme arrived at Barcelona, Van Gaal was the manager, and literally the first thing he said was, "I didn't even want you here." So it was like a kind of, I don't know, an outpour of, and then more philosophically perhaps, it was also about attitudes to football. It was Van Gaal's kind of tactical, very rigid formation, which a lot of the Argentinian players have experienced firsthand with him as a manager, Di Maria in Manchester United, and also almost a South American versus European tradition. And so I think, I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I know that a lot of people are seeking these interpretations with humour, but I think there was a real pent up and kind of over-constrained energy there that Messi unleashed. But we see this in football, and we see it in the World Cups. There's a lot of talk about Cristiano Ronaldo imploding, and I think we've got these legends here who are maybe going to make their last stand sooner or later. And I don't think Messi imploded. I think he was quite constrained, actually, in character.
Marcela, in Argentina, are the people focused on Messi's dream of winning the World Cup at his last attempt, or is the focus on the national teams, a nation, winning a third World Cup?
Well, there is a lot of desire for Messi to win it, an enormous amount, in Argentina, and I think almost worldwide. People want it for Messi. But I also think the reason they want it for Messi is because they know what a lovely thing it would be for Messi to win it for Argentina, if you see what I mean. So it's like, do this for me and you'll feel good about yourself. But I think there is a huge desire that Messi kind of seals his rightly earned place as the world's greatest. And having said that, I also think there is a lot of acceptance and tolerance for him now. So if he doesn't win it, it's not like he will have utterly failed at everything. I think winning the Copa America for Argentina was a huge kind of mission accomplished.
Yeah. If I can just add, Manny, we were talking with a friend about the end of this quarterfinal, Argentina against the Netherlands, and he told me a really interesting theory. He told me that Messi finally found his inner Diego, his inner Maradona, and it was just a lovely idea to him being so, this kind of introvert character, being so extrovert in the face of diversity and difficulty against Netherlands. So I like the idea of Messi finding his inner Diego, and maybe.
There was a lot of talk about that, but and someone actually wrote to me from Buenos Aires saying the skies have opened, there's a massive thunderstorm, and Messi has been possessed by Diego. And I thought, okay, but I actually don't agree with that. I think, first, I don't agree that Messi's an introvert, reserved, shy, good boy. I think he has been a very different type of leader to Diego, but he's always got very, very angry about losing. When he was a child, he had tantrums, and as recently as Copa America, the other players are talking about when he gets angry about something, how scared that they are. But also, I think the way he lashed out was so childish, and even his choice of insult. In the press conference, he says, "What you're looking at, silly, go away," and it just feels like more infantile than playground. It's almost like granny language. It's really difficult to translate the word he used, bobo. But and we've all been struggling. Some people say fool. I think silly's the closest because it's so mild in its aggression. And if Diego had possessed him and Messi had found his inner Diego,
it would have been really fun.
It would have been a really different linguistic display.
Well, from Messi's dream to the Moroccan fairy tale, have a listen to these fans in Doha on Saturday night after that extraordinary 1-0 victory over Portugal.
Just amazing. It's incredible. They played in a very, very smart and elegant way that we are so proud of them. And we can't wait for the next matches to come. And we believe that the FIFA is ours. 2022 is for Morocco!
Very happy. And we are all happy that there is one Arabic and African team reach the semi-final in this World Cup. We are very proud of Morocco team.
Congratulations for all Arabs here, okay? All Arab people here are celebrating with Maghreb, okay? This is a big celebrate, okay? This is time for respect Asian and African teams from American or European countries. Okay, we hope we will reach the final and we will win the World Cup this in Qatar.
Extraordinary. It's something that unbelievable. We are so proud. We are living the moment. We have an amazing team, amazing coach, and as you see, the spectators, they are coming all over the world. So we do love our country. We are so proud of what we did.
We literally cannot describe the feeling. It's amazing. This is the first time. It's a historical moment, and we're basically just proud of our team, of our achievements. They fought through all the games, and they fought through till the end today, and we're proud of them. I mean, 1-0 Portugal. I mean, Ronaldo is out. We're so proud. We made him cry, so we're here to
this
celebrate.
Is our happiness.
Yeah.
Cristiano is out, so we are so proud of them. We are so glad that they are going to semi-final. It's a dream come true for all of us.
Until now, we didn't believe it, but now we're full of hope we would get the World Cup this year. We hope for the first time in the history of the world, an African country will have it. And we'll pray and we'll be there to cheer whatever happens. But we're so happy tonight.
What about this noise here, these supporters?
The noises are just shaking our hearts, literally. We're shaking. It's just unbelievable how everyone is supporting in one voice. So we're just proud of everyone.
So not much grace from Argentina and not much from that fan who was gleefully enjoying the fact that Morocco made Ronaldo cry. But, I mean, looking ahead to the semi-final, do you have any fit players left?
Yeah, I think the defense line is pretty much decimated by injuries. But the one I'm most concerned about is Naifagert, because his thigh injury seems pretty bad. The other ones are gonna, just want to be there even if they're 50-60% fit. But I like this piece about the supporters, because they weren't all Moroccans. I could sense 2 or 3 different accents in there, and people really proud about Morocco, even though not being Moroccans. So this is one of the greatest achievements of this team, beyond the sporting achievement and performance. And we made Ronaldo cry. That's a fact.
France will be the 4th opponent for Morocco, representing a nation where at least one of the team was born, one of the Moroccans. And in this case, of course, you can include the coach Walid Regragui, who was born in Paris. But is France a more meaningful opponent than Belgium, Canada and Spain?
For the rest of us Moroccans, it means a lot, but I don't think it means anything special for the players or the coaching staff, at least not before the game, because it would be a huge error approaching this game with this kind of vengeance mentality or something to prove more against France than against Spain or against Portugal. I think the context in this game, outside the pitch, it's great, it's historical, it's epic proportions, but inside the pitch I think it would be an error to approach the game differently from Spain or Belgium or Portugal or even Croatia. So I think it means a huge deal to us as professional, as fans. But it doesn't have to really mean something to the players and the coach, because you gotta be in this bubble to really play good football in the World Cup. And we've seen that in many games that the mindset, the mentality, even during the game, even during key moments in the game, mean a lot. So if you letting in any diversion, that could be lethal for you in a game of football, especially in a World Cup semi-final.
Let's talk about the significance in terms of the Moroccan people of this match, given the colonial ties and the fact that so many people moved to France from Morocco. What does the country of France mean to Moroccans?
Well, it's this like this older brother that always got your lunch box or your lunch money when you go to school, and they always kind of bully you for many years when you were a kid. And then when you grow up, you're taller than him and stronger than him, so he kind of feels jealous. But there's a special tie with France. Although we've been under colonization from France, I think afterwards it's not like this war-torn relationship like it might have happened in Algeria, for example. I think things went really bad when we were fighting for our liberation, but afterwards I think things got smoother and smoother. But it's this friendship and brotherhood relationship. Sometimes it's shaky, sometimes it's good, sometimes we understand each other, and for 90 or so minutes, maybe 120, maybe even beyond, we won't be brothers, we won't be friends.
It is a really kind of interesting aspect of the moment we're at in history. I think that for a long time the best African players were performing in Europe or for European countries, and we've been hearing this: the future of football is Africa, and Africa will an African country will one day win the World Cup. And now we've got to this point, which is really exciting, I think, in terms of new players on the big stage, but with a reverse. It's a kind of post-colonial. So kids who were maybe now born in Europe are choosing to go back and represent Morocco, and I think it's really interesting. And specifically, I think Bono giving his press conference in Arabic was a real poignant way of saying, we just playing with this concept of border and nationality and what we represent when we represent a country. And I don't think that all the European-born Africans have chosen to represent Africa. So France has a fair share as well of players who weren't born there. And that's, I think, one of the really lovely things about football, where your football nationality doesn't necessarily map one-to-one with your tradition, your history, your flag, your wars, and even fans are multinational and maybe have divided loyalties. So it should be a great game of football, even with all these factors playing in, I think.
Leading the conversation on the global game, this is World Football in Qatar on the BBC World Service.
Let's switch back to Argentina, and in particular their opponents on Tuesday, Croatia. They're playing each other in Lusail. Croatia back, of course, in the last four for the second time in a row after an equaliser 3 minutes from the end of extra time against Brazil, and then their customary win on penalties. This is their third semi-final in 6 World Cups since becoming an independent nation, and World Football's Sam Sheringham has been trying to find out more about how a nation of 3.9 million people produces so many great footballers.
We have fighting spirit, we never give up, and we have a winning mentality, that's it.
Best day ever! Goodbye, Rio de Janeiro!
Croatia fans delight in a penalty shootout victory over Brazil that took them through to the final four of the World Cup. Not for the first time in this tournament, it was the midfield trio of Luka Modric, Mateo Kovacic and Marcelo Brozovic who orchestrated the triumph. I'm off to their training camp to find out more about the midfield maestros. I've arrived now at the Croatia team base in the West Bay area of Doha, and it is standing room only at the edge of this big media tent here. Such is the interest in this remarkable team that now stands one game away from a second successive World Cup final.
Prvo mogu reći da Marcelo, Kova I Luka to je najbolji hrvatski.
The press conference has started now, and one of the Argentinian journalists has just asked right-back Josip Juranovic about what he called the Bermuda Triangle in Croatia's midfield. Here comes the translation of Juranovic's answer.
I think Mateo, Luka and Marcelo are the best Croatian midfield in the history, and I'm not sure if that can be repeated ever again. When you pass them the ball, it's safer than having your money in the bank. Everything gets really easy when you play with them, and it's a privilege to play with them and learn from them.
We've been granted our 15 minutes now to watch the Croatia players train, and it's notable that Modric and Kovacic are right alongside each other, training, working on passing routines. Brozovic, however, is training alone. He's running laps of the field with one of the assistant coaches, and all of Croatia will be hoping that doesn't mean there's any concern over his fitness, because this midfield triangle is absolutely crucial to their success.
Guys, time is up, please.
Okay, so I've been assured by one of the Croatian media officers that Brozovic's absence from the main training session is purely precautionary. Let's grab a word now with Sasha Lugancic from Croatia's Nova TV and ask him why the midfielders complement each other so well.
They are amazing players, first of all. I mean, all three. Okay, we don't have to talk about Luka Modric. He's one of the best midfielders in history of football, I think. No doubt about that. Kovacic is a player you in England knows very well. Amazing player, very important in Chelsea. Brozo also in Inter, and that is really something special because in that famous generation in France 24 years ago, we had Boban, Asanovic, and Prosinečki. Amazing trio, you know. And for many years, people in Croatia, you know, were telling, oh my God, that was unbelievable trio. We would never have again such amazing three players in the midfield area. And then came Russia 2018, and we had Modric, Brozovic, and Rakitic from Barcelona. And in that time, then Rakitic, retired from national team, but there was no problem because Kovacic was ready to step in. So that is really amazing. Amazing that such a small nation have three such amazing players, and they are definitely they suit to each other very well, definitely, and they have great bond, great connection privately as well. You know, Luka and Mateo are best men. You know, they have great relationship. You know, Brozo is a guy who is very popular in national team. So that is also very important because you have some national teams with a great quality, but maybe don't have such a good chemistry in the team. We have all of that, and that's why I think they're so strong on the pitch.
The Croatian midfield conveyor belt, it just keeps on delivering. It's really interesting to hear that historical perspective. Now, another piece of history, only 4 years ago in the World Cup, Croatia beat Argentina 3-0. It was in the group stage, but nonetheless, that must give them some confidence.
Definitely. I think that was there are two games that were, I think, decisive one, you know, for this generation. That was Argentina and that was Denmark, because when they beat Argentina in Nizhny Novgorod, they realized how strong they are, and they are capable of going far away in the tournament. And when they beat Denmark, that was the first knockout stage ever this generation won, and that was really dramatic on the penalties. Well, we always win on penalties, no surprise. So I think that was very important win. But this game against Argentina and Russia will be totally different. First of all, this is semi-final. This is, the stakes are higher, obviously, for both teams. Also, I think that this Argentina team is much better. First of all, they have much better goalkeeper, and the second thing, I think the atmosphere in the team is much better. I spoke with colleagues from Argentina yesterday, and they told me that under Scaloni things are much calmer, much better than under Sampaoli 4 years ago.
So Croatia well aware of the challenge they face on Tuesday night, but if their midfield trio gains control once again, there's every chance of a second successive World Cup final appearance for this overachieving national team.
Sam Sheringham reporting from the Croatia camp. Marcela, do you think that this semi-final will be decided in the midfield? You've got this amazing trio of Croatia plus the Argentinians, who of course include Messi.
I think it's more likely to be won or lost on kind of tactical set pieces and VAR and maybe penalty, because I sense the game going very much to this kind of using up every instant and measuring very precisely. You know, even the ball is now automated and measuring things, and no one's going to leave anything to chance. I do think Croatia are likely to just be more kind of assertive and just, you know, whack with height across. And I think Argentina's weakness is perhaps in the midfield, whatever that might mean. I mean, I can see what Scaloni or the Scalonetto, Scaloni and his assistants, very much a team management project this, are trying to do with having these very, very volatile players on the sides. I don't know if they're going to be up to it in terms of stamina and just sheer kind of speed. I guess Croatia will have an advantage.
I mean, what's impressed you the most about Croatia?
The resilience. The fact that in two different World Cups with almost 40 or 50% of the roster changing, and they're pretty much the same guys. I mean, Modric, of course, Brozovic, but in the back line, for example, the Vida is not playing, Kovacic retired, and they're pretty much the same Croatia as 4 years ago. And I just love how they completely swept all doubts about them. I mean, people were talking very, very badly about Croatia before the World Cup and saying, yeah, they're not gonna make it. It's too improbable for them to be in the final of a World Cup again. But I like their resilience. I mean, trailing one down against Brazil in extra time and going back and fighting to win on pens. I think there's not many countries, many national teams around the world that could do that. And this is what I love the most about Croatia. Of course, beside the quality of players like Brozovic and Modric and Perisic and all the other players.
Well, Luka Modric says that Croatia have the same never-give-up attitude as Real Madrid. But where does that come from? The former Croatia coach, Igor Stimac, who played in the 1998 World Cup semi-final, says that it was forged during the Balkan Wars of the 1990s.
When you're fighting for your lives, and even when there is no chance and nobody is giving you chance, because we were not given the chance to become independent, you see. We were not wanted at the beginning by any European country or anyone. It was nothing similar to Ukrainian situation now, where everyone is very openly supporting Ukrainian people and giving them chance to stay independent and integral territorial country, you know. It was not the same with Croatia. Nobody was fighting for Croatia. Nobody was supporting. Nobody wanted Croatia. Everybody was there behind Yugoslavia to stay all together. And to survive in such circumstances defines who you are later on. That mental strength is deep inside our people and our nation. Survival. There is no difficulty we cannot overcome.
Obviously, a lot of these players were either very, very young or not born at all during the Balkan Wars. So has this mentality been passed down by their parents?
Absolutely. You know that Luka was very, very little boy then when he lost his grandfather and when his family lost the home and they need to run away. This stays in you, in your culture. This stays in your tradition. It will never be forgotten, and that's defining the character of our players, you know. If you look anywhere in the world, you will see that wherever Croatian goes, for whatever reason, for survival, to provide the food to his family, he's one of the best workers. At any position he goes, he's praised by his superiors. He is welcomed because and appreciated because of the commitment and pride and loyalty. That's who Croatians are.
We've just heard a report about the Croatia midfield three. Josip Juranovic says that they're safer. The ball with them is safer than money in the bank. How do they control the game so well, and how important will that be against Argentina, who also like to control possession?
One of the best in the world. Well balanced, composed, technically perfect, with a great resilience, endurance, with fantastic brain and mental strength. What else you can look for?
How does the Modric of 2022 compare with the Modric of 2018, in your opinion?
Few more years of experience, and I would say not less energy. I think that he's now Luka Modric, who is much more helping the team and others around him. Maybe 4 years ago, he was doing so with many more touches on the ball and the beauty of his game. He's combining now the leadership attitude and the quality of his game to direct others to what they need to do. And everybody is following him perfectly. That's amazing to watch. Luka cares much more now. Obviously, with the experience, he's well aware about how he needs to speak with youngsters, how he needs to lead them, how to explain them what to do, because as a captain, he's obviously right hand of our head coach. And Luka is doing that fantastically. You can see in each point how he is supporting Livakovic when he is down a little bit with the confidence, how he's helping Juranovic to get over some crisis and all that. It's amazing.
Do you think that means that he's a better player now than he was in 2018?
Absolutely. Definitely, Luka is much better.
Argentina, like Croatia, also try to control the midfield. Is that where this game will be won and lost, do you think?
I would say that the difference there is that they are trying, we are succeeding. As we look in front of the game we are expecting now, there will be small difference to the game against Brazil, just small difference, because now the danger will be coming from this position of Messi, and the other day was coming from the position of Neymar, which are different sides. But the team is what is winning the game. The Argentinians are showing great character. They are kind of different to prior World Cups. You can feel their different attitude from their team. They are showing more matureness. And it's going to be more difficult, obviously, than the last time we met in Russia. This is not the group stage anymore. There is a different Messi there. Even he is 4 years older. He's a different international team shirt this time.
So could this actually be quite a slow game, because Messi, we know, prefers to walk around for quite a lot of the match, just looking at it and seeing what's going on. And this Croatia team also like to control the possession and slow down the pace.
Could be. Definitely we're going to do our stuff, bringing the pace of the game into our speed, trying to bring down the opponent to our game and then slowly suck them in. There is another point in this game which we are very well aware of. This Argentinian team is ready to use other things to come to a winning point, because provocations are there, certain points in the game where they can irritate you, not with the footballing magics, with other things, So we need to be ready for everything, any kind of fight. We need to stay focused and concentrated and not to give referee any chance to help them, because at certain points in this World Cup, referee showed some soft attitude towards Argentinian team, giving certain penalties or similar things to them. So we need to be very careful there, because once the game is over, you cannot complain to anyone. Let's not give the referee any chance to help Argentina.
Zlatko Dalic says that there won't be any man marking of Messi. Will they just pass him around as he wanders around?
I don't think that anyone is playing anymore man-to-man marking. It's a team. Team needs to stay focused to cut the distribution of the balls to Messi. That's priority. And we know which players are mostly passing the ball to him. So we'll try to cut these areas and these passes to him. So without the ball, Messi is not dangerous, obviously, So, but then again, he will definitely receive a few balls there. Then we need to stay focused and tighten these areas, close them down in the best possible way.
Argentina have all the emotions of the Messi story, his last chance of winning the World Cup. They'll have nearly all of the fans, but Croatia have been here before. They've experienced the World Cup semi-final before and they won it. It's nothing new for them. Is that an advantage?
Definitely it is, although all these Argentinian players are playing in fantastic clubs, fantastic competitions and league, and it will be no strange to them. They will be focused. They have army of supporters there, I think 70% of the stadium will be occupied with their supporters, which are by far the best. And it's going to be very interesting to see the rest of the stadium occupied by Croatians who will try to outmatch them, It's going to be fantastic on the stands also because we have great supporters and charters are flying there from Croatia every second. Why should Croatia feel pressure? We are enjoying the moment. Maybe the last game at the World Cup for Lionel Messi or some of our boys. So I don't think they feel any pressure whatsoever. I think they will do everything to enjoy the game in full.
I hope you enjoy it too. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Igor.
Thank you, man. Wonderful talking to you. God bless you.
Former Croatia coach Igor Stimac. Very moving and very interesting what he was saying about the legacy of the wars in the 1990s in terms of defining the Croatian character. A question to both of you, really, especially Marcelo, because we've spoken a lot about Morocco. What is it about Argentina that has defined the characteristics of this team?
Well, I guess if we were going to take that to its absolute logical conclusion, it might be that we haven't had any big wars. And, we have a population that's assimilated immigrants completely, very quickly. So we are a mishmash of all sorts of people from all over the world, becoming Argentinian in no time at all. And this is something that nothing quite reflects that sense of identity, national identity, like football does. I'm not sure why that is, and I could speculate, but we're going to do a short program today about the semi-final. But I think, that's the father to son, the generations, the love, the respect for the game, and the fact that it's a game that anybody can play, that you don't need any toys, and all of this is universal.
Stimac was saying how Modric has changed. Do you think Lionel Messi has changed in the last 4 years?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't think he's a different player, but I think there is something about the process of growth, which we're seeing in both these guys. And then, ultimately a topic for discussion would be, did Cristiano Ronaldo grow less? But there is a maturity and an understanding and an awareness. I think Messi's becoming very comfortable being Messi. And in a way, that's why I disagree that Maradona's spirit got into him, because I think Messi has shielded himself from being completely natural for a long time because he is a bit awkward and it's not easy to read him a lot of the time. But now he seems to be much more confident in the fact that his style of leadership is different to Maradona's, and his role in the team, he really needs a team around him. He's not a solo kind of saviour at all. And his understanding with his teammates is really at its prime right now, and it was at the Copa America as well. And it's, I think, a sense of him being able to kind of know where players are going to be. It's almost more important than getting the ball to Messi. It's getting Messi to know where everyone's going to be. I think Messi can get the ball himself. With Maradona, it was about give him the ball and he'll resolve everything. And Messi's more about knowing where everyone is and understanding how it's all going to work, and I think he is transmitting that to them. And you can sometimes see it on the pitch. It's not obviously not for the whole duration of a game, but the 2 or 3 minutes of Messi brilliance that each game has had, which have been actually kind of game changers, are almost entirely based on him having this sense of where someone is and delivering some pass or being ready to receive the ball from that player. And in that sense, I think he is more, he's grown into his own role. He's more Messi than ever. And I mean, it's a shame in a way that both of them are, have found this excellent character at a stage where the game is no longer for them. I mean, I can't, the huge thing that this World Cup leaves me thinking about is the young players that are emerging and how they are really holding this all together. So one of the two is walking off forever tomorrow, and wow, what a privilege to be there for it.
Right, just before we go, 2 words from both of you. Who will be in Sunday's final?
Oh, I can only do one game at a time. I'd love a final that's Morocco-Argentina, and I'd love Morocco to win because I really want to see a dancing mum on the pitch again. I collect images of women on the football pitch in the World Cups, and this is definitely top of my wish list is to see a dancing mum on a pitch again. Morocco-Argentina.
Morocco-Argentina. I have no doubt about that.
Amine, Amri and Marcela, Mora y Araujo, thank you very much indeed for joining me, and good luck to both of your teams in the semi-finals. I'll be back on Thursday to pick over the bones of those matches. In the meantime, I'll leave you with the soundtrack of the streets of Doha in recent days. Moroccan horns celebrating, but will they continue beyond Wednesday night? Goodbye.